Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. And I just wanted to do a follow-up on this lesson that we did yesterday, as we had a few of the newer brothers break down Genesis, the 6th chapter, but we guided them along, and added, precepts. And brothers brought out some very good points, and I wanted to highlight a few of those points and edify further on the topic, because we know that this topic of the sons of God, is the center of much controversy, all right, because you have people who take this story in Genesis, the 6th chapter, and they try to associate it with mysticism, fables, as the scriptures talks about. We don't tie this book to fables. Let's get that real quick. All right. This is 2 Peter's 1:16. It says, "For we have not followed cunningly devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty." And as we bring out the volume of the book, we're not tying the history, because when you read this story in Genesis, the 6th chapter, all right, this is ultimately the lineage in which the Messiah would come through, ultimately through, Noah, who had Shem, all right, and we'll get into that, okay, to make it plain unto you that this story is not associated with a race of angel, half-human hybrids who took over the earth and somehow rule the earth unto this day, and it's damn sure not tied to the Anunnaki of the Sumerian Babylonian Empire. You see? And that's what a lot of people try to do, is link the two, all right, in which the scripture says none shall want her mate, all right? The scriptures does not have fellowship, all right, with the idols of the heathen and their philosophies. Now, this word fables, okay, is mythos or muthos, mythology, okay? A speech, a word, a saying, a narrative, all right, a story, fiction, fable, all right, an invention or a falsehood, okay? And that's ultimately what all of these idols are associated with, falsehood. We're not to link those things with the Holy Scriptures, okay? And we broke that down in the Scriptures, how that you have, a human body, all right, and then you have heavenly bodies, all right, and the glory of the two, all right, is all different, all right. Furthermore, when you get the book of Genesis, the 5th chapter, it's giving you the descendants of Adam, okay, through Seth, all right, which the narrative of Seth is important because Abel was slew. So at the very end of Genesis, the 4th chapter, after it breaks down, Cain's lineage, Seth pops up, because remember, Abel, who had the righteous sacrifice, was slew. All right, so this is giving you the understanding that the legacy of righteousness was able to be continued. The righteous sacrifice and everything that we have unto this day was able to be continued through Seth. Okay, and it says, unto him there was born a son, and called his name Enos. Then began man to call upon the name of Yahweh. Okay, and this word call upon, okay, call upon the name of Yahweh. So even back then, men were calling on the name of Yahweh. The word is, all right, kara, all right, and that's to call out, to recite, to read, okay, proclaim, all right, and we're in this time, forwarding that that legacy, as we're crying aloud and sparing not, reciting and reading the ways of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai. All right, what you have to understand is Adam's lineage through Abel and Seth were supposed to be the ones who were to uplift and carry the legacy of the Most High on earth as it is in heaven. okay, to read aloud, to live in the ways of righteousness, okay? And it was more so written in our members. It was a way that we were supposed to be. It was not so much, all right, that we had everything written down. All right, it was ultimately a way. The sons of God were to walk in a particular way. All right. Now, due to the fall of Adam, we fell from that way. All right, but when you get Genesis the 5th chapter, leading into the 6th chapter, it's very important to know that as it gave you the lineage of Cain in Genesis the 4th chapter, all right, it gives you the lineage of Adam through Seth, okay, in Genesis the 5th chapter. Okay, Genesis 5, all right, just jumping to the point, because Adam was made in the image of the Most High, given the law, statutes, and commandments, right? We know that, pursuant to 2nd Esdras, the 3rd chapter. Okay, Adam was the first to receive the law, statutes, commandments, the breath of life, the understanding, the way to be, the way to walk, all right, the instructions on how to keep and watch over the garden so that the earth would be paradise, all right? So it says Adam lived 130 years, all right? Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth, okay? In the days of Adam, after he begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. So Adam had sons and daughters, right? So as you read through this lineage, Adam begot Seth, Seth begot Enos. Now, what do we know about the time of Enos according to what we just read in Genesis, the 4th chapter? At that time, all right, it became a bold proclamation of the name of Yahweh in the earth, right? It says, and that comes with what? The walking in the righteous way. Okay, that was the intent of this chosen lineage, all right? But what happened? They fell away eventually from their way, right? So Seth begot sons and daughters, all right? Enos, all right, begot sons and daughters. You see that? All of these have sons and daughters, so there's many descendants. It's just giving you the notable names that you need to know and understand, all right, to follow the story, because the story is tracking the chosen lineage. Okay, that's the importance of Abraham, because after the flood, all right, through Arphaxad, who was, Noah's grandson through Shem, his father, all right, Arphaxad was the chosen, and then you follow the lineage on through, and it gives you, okay, the understanding on that. As a matter of fact, let's get Genesis 11 real quick, because we know Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, after the Tower of Babel, okay, it immediately, in Genesis 11, all right, after the flood, it says, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. All right, and then it continues this legacy after the flood, following that same legacy from Adam through Seth. All right, this time from Noah, a descendant of Seth, through who? All right, Shem through Arphaxad. And then as you follow this story, Abraham pops up. He's of that royal lineage. These are the sons of God. Now, Genesis, the 5th chapter, okay, Genesis, the 5th chapter, okay, is going into a royal lineage, okay, and it's giving you the names. Now, as you read this lineage, you read about Enoch. That's a notable name. We know about him. He was beamed up. He walked with the Lord, meaning the Lord opened him up. The Lord protected him, covered him, opened his mind up. Enoch was on fire. Okay, these are the sons of God. Enoch got translated, beamed up. Okay, and you keep going. Okay, Methuselah. All right, which pretty much Methuselah in that generation, okay, was pretty much the last of the righteous generation. All right, which Noah would be the one the Lord used to forward it. Okay, because when Methuselah had Lamech, okay, it says, and Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son and called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. So ultimately the sons of Adam had underwent a curse, okay, but along the lines the Lord, amongst the rebellion of the sons of God, the Lord always, made sure to keep a remnant, all right, or particular men in place to forward the works of righteousness. So what Lamech is saying, all right, which this is the Lamech on the right hand side. Cain had a descendant named Lamech, but they're not the same lineage. Okay, Genesis 5:28, all right, is Lamech, who was Methuselah's son, which Methuselah is, I believe, the oldest to live. All right, but he died, some say months before the flood, a year before the flood. All right, but what he says here, all right, Lamech says here concerning Noah, saying this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, meaning they were, all right, keeping the traditions. All right, they were, remaining in the ways of righteousness. That's why you have to put yourselves in these stories. See, people read these lineages and read Genesis 5, and there's nothing really that links you, right? Because you so, gung-ho about trying to be deep and make this an alien story and the lizard people and all of this, to where you forget that this book is really tied to us as people. Okay, we're not tied to lizard men. We're tied to the descendants of Adam through Seth, through Noah, through Shem, through Arphaxad, through Eber, which his father was Selah, all the way up to Abraham, who had Isaac and Jacob had 12 sons. That's how we make sense of what we're reading here. We're not supposed to follow the world and their rhetoric and garbage, because Noah was the one that the Lord used, all right, to comfort the way of righteousness being forwarded after the curse of Adam and the falls of the sons of God. Okay, and then Lamech lived, all right, after he begot Noah 595 years, and he begot sons and daughters. So all of these had sons and daughters, and there was a generation amongst them that were completely wicked, all right, getting into idol worship, which we'll show you. And then you had those who were doing right. Noah would be the one the Lord used of that bunch. Okay, as what did the Lord tell Noah? Okay, because Methuselah was a righteous man. Okay, but Methuselah died when you go into it right before the flood. Okay, can I give you the the perfect year, maybe months, years? We don't know. All right, and time was different, way different back here. Anyway, this is Genesis 7:1, and the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and thy house into the ark, for in thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. So for in Noah, the Lord saw righteousness amongst that corrupt generation. Okay, and we know that Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, which they all stem from Noah, but the Lord put particular spirits, all right, assignments, okay, that would make up their prospective kind. So you have Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which eventually from Noah, all right, that equaled into, I believe, 18 nations. Of the 18 nations, the Lord would choose one through Shem. Okay? And now keep in mind Shem. Keep that name in mind. All right, so the question is this. Why would the Lord go from Genesis, the 5th chapter, breaking down the sons of God through Adam, all right, through Seth, and then all of a sudden in Genesis, the 6th chapter, it jumps to an understanding of absolute weirdness where angels come from the heavens to have sex with daughters on earth? No. Okay, and when you read this, Genesis, the 6th chapter, all right, let's start at 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth that that daughters were born unto them. Okay, now this is nations on the earth. We tell you Adam and Eve were not the first two people on the earth. There were other nations. Adam represents the first to receive the breath of life. Okay, and ultimately would start the lineage. Okay, that ultimately Yahweh Shai will be born into. Okay, but as you see here, things got corrupt. So as these various different nations, which is Cain's lineage, because you had the sons of God, the chosen lineage, the sons of the wicked, which is the seed line of Cain, all right, and you had the sons of men, which were the other nations. So remember, as a curse, the sons of God, Adam, was kicked out of the garden, right? So what would that mean? That we were eventually, put out of Jerusalem, as we were kicked out many times, and ultimately, in about these regions amongst these different families. And what is Jake known to do? Let's get Psalms 106. All right, because we know that which is then is now. If that which is then is now, and those were, all right, half angel, half men, we would be seeing those people now. And people believe that they are the ones who rule the earth. No, Edomites rule the earth. Okay? And they're descendants of Isaac. All right, but the Lord put a wicked assignment and spirit on that. 2 nations were in the womb of Rebekah. Okay? See, we have to make sense of this Bible. We're not to tie the Bible into all of these fables. Okay? Psalms 106, all right, and 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning who the Lord commanded them. Remember, as we were supposed to enter into the Holy Land, we were to destroy the idols and the nations, all right, who were doing all of this wickedness. Okay? Because we were going to possess that land and return to that land, because that's what the fall of Adam led to, us being kicked out of the Garden of Eden, where we were to rule out of. Okay, and we're going to return to that land under Melchizedek, because what did the scripture say? Melchizedek was the king of Salem, priest of the Most High God. That was the king of Jerusalem. He's the king of that land. But for the purpose of the word being fulfilled, we had to go through a fall. The Lord made us subject to hope, is how we're going to eventually get, all right, to return to our original estate and rule on earth in those heavenly bodies after the order of Melchizedek. See, he was in his heavenly body. But as you notice, he was called King of Salem. Salem is Jerusalem, which Jerusalem means what? Teaching of peace, or city of peace. That was the region in the earth where the Lord, all right, set Adam, because from there, righteousness was to flow throughout the whole, all right, paradise. And that's what's going to happen under Yahweh Shai in the kingdom. But what happened is we fell from that way. Okay? And just like here, Psalms 106 and 35, where were mingled among the heathen and learned their works and served their idols, which were a snare unto them. So when you read in Genesis, the 6th chapter, all right, just as we hear about the Gentiles who turn to idols, and, we're witnessing, just as we're witnessing Jake now follow after the way of the heathen, and it's god awful. Okay, here in Genesis, the 6th chapter, okay, we're witnessing the sons of God fall from their estate, all right, apostate. Okay, and one of the beautiful things here is that when you look up what the scholars say, okay, and we'll get some other points. When you look up what the scholars say, the people who are really into the Bible, because these scholars don't have the 100% breakdown. All right, you're going to get that from the prophets. But in history-wise, they know certain things. And it's good to sometimes just hear their insight as, the Lord set up Esau, in a sense, to go into things so that we could have certain insights that we wouldn't have. Because, again, Esau has the fatness of the earth right now. Okay, so that's where you use the world, but don't abuse it. Okay, they don't have the breakdown, but sometimes it is good to go to certain scholars because they be into things. Okay, now when you read Eliot, okay, he says the Nephilim mentioned again in Numbers 13 and 33, which just mean they were big in stature at that time. And Jake was lying. When you go to that story, as Jake described what they saw when they went to spy out the land, it was like, man, they're giants, because they didn't want to go and fight them. They were scared. All right. But Joshua and Caleb was like, we got these. We can do this. But it says, and apparently a race of great physical strength and stature. Nothing more is probable, all right, than that. See, they're basically saying nothing is more probable about the Nephilim, all right, in Genesis, the 6th chapter, than, okay, men of great physical, a race of people of great physical and strength and stature. And does the Bible support this? That's exactly what we're going to get into. Okay, at a time when men lived for centuries, human vigor, all right, and this is before the flood. So men were bigger, stronger, okay? But just as you have the great men of this time, and Jake is always the greatest men of this time, whether you go in the sports arena, the music arena, it's always Jake, all right? But back then, you had the mighty men of that time, and we'll show you that. We'll get into that. It says, and that's the sons of God, okay? But a race, it says, human vigor should also show itself producing not merely individuals, but a race of more than ordinary height. They were bigger, okay? It says they were apparently of the Cainite stock, all right, because you had the sons of Cain, but he got it wrong here. And the text carefully distinguishes them from the offspring of the mixed marriages. You see? Because Jake started mingling among the heathen. And the family line of Cain was in the earth. See? But the seed of man dictates the nation. So as the same thing that you see happening all throughout our history as Israelites, we got amongst the heathen and we started making marriages with them. Okay? Heathen are supposed to what? Be concubines. They're supposed to come up under your order, under your God. They're not supposed to forward their gods. They're supposed to have a point where they mourn, put their captivity, and they ultimately they would work for your interest. But they couldn't forward their gods. See, but Jake was making marriages as Solomon did, as Jake did at the time of Nehemiah, getting amongst these heathen, making the actual covenant marriages. Okay, and their idols became what? Our idols. Okay, and that's not to be. So Jake back then was doing that as, the family line of Cain, which we know they were corrupt and wicked. Jake started living and being like them. Okay, and that's what the book of, let's get Sirach, the 40th chapter real quick. Let's get Sirach, the 40th chapter. So, let's see. The flood. Let's see here. All right. Sirach 40 and 9. Death and bloodshed, strife and the sword of calamities, famine, tribulation, and a scourge. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood, because that's what was happening. Bloodshed, strife, sword, calamities, and that's all the result of idol worship, as we'll show you. See? Jake was being wicked, and that's why the flood came. Okay, but as you can see here, it says they were apparently of the Cainite stock, the family line of Cain. All right, which no, they were Israelites, or the sons of God at that time, before we were called Israelites, making marriages and mingling among the heathen, as we've always been prone to do. Okay, it says the usual derivation of the name is from the root of signifying to fall. Now, what name are they talking about? All right, as you go into what giant means, okay, Genesis 6 and 4, there were giants in the earth in those days. All right, this is where people lose their mind, and because when you go to that word, all right, giants, it's not palial. It just means giants or Nephilim. Now, that's the what's been associated with it. All right, but as you can see here, showing you this, it says, let's see. It says, most people, as you can see here, which gig and cast render great, large, and body, but this is incorrect. People just associate it with the size aspect when it says giant. Okay, but this is parabolic talk. All right, and you have to understand the ancient way. All right, to be a giant, okay, meant that ultimately you was what? Great, excellent, as you can see here, for it means excellent, noble, skillful. I prefer, all right, with the Hebrew interpreters, okay, falling on attack so that it is in transitive signification, all right? Those who used to interpret the passage in Genesis of the fall of the angels were accustomed to render na pa ya la yum, fallers, rebels, apostates. Apostates. Now, what is an apostate? Apostate is one who forsakes his religion or faith. See? And Israel has always done that. And that's what the sons of God, the sons of Adam, did back then. Even Adam himself fell away from the righteous way that was commanded. You see? To forsake his religion. What was our religion was to be righteous, to be upstanding, to carry on the sacrifice, the calling on the name of the Lord, the connection with the Heavenly Father. But we forsook our old religion. We became apostates. Okay, and that's what happened here in Genesis. Okay, the 6th chapter. Okay, what does it say in Psalms 82? Psalms 82 and 5. I start at 6. It says, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. Okay, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. All right. Now, when you look up this word, ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes, the word fall, okay, napal, okay, to be cast down, or to prostrate, okay, to fall short, to fall away, to fall out, to be inferior to, all right, to lay, to prostrate, and Jake was bound before idols, okay, but it means ultimately to fall, to fall away, to overthrow, to be inferior. Okay, it says here to lie down, meaning basically you had those who gave up, just like at the time of the Greeks. Jake gave themselves over to those Greek idols, but you had those who stood. You see, this is the same thing that we read through the narrative of the Bible about the chosen people. We see it first here. All right, Nepal, all right, which ultimately takes us back, all right, to Genesis, the 6th chapter. Na pa y'all, all right, Nephil. That's where they're getting Nephilim. That's whole Nephilim deal, all right. But they were bigger in size, okay, but it also more so signifies, okay, that Moses was basically saying in these days, as he's writing what he's receiving, all right, through the Most High God, through his angel, all right, on the Mount. That's where we got the Torah, the first 5 books. Moses is like, there were fallen ones. This is the times of the ones who fell, the sons of Adam who fell, right? And he gave you insight of what was going on that led to the flood. Just like, now we're living at the time where it's going to be fire. But what's the reason of that fire to come? Because wickedness have exceeding polluted the earth. The second death is coming. Now let's read this again. Genesis 6 and 4. There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, okay, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, all right, the sons of God started dealing with the children of the other nations. Okay, and what's an example and an insight we have on that? Let's get the book of Nehemiah, just to give you an insight on how the scriptures say that which is then is now. All right, and this is a true testament to that. All right, mixed marriage is forbidden. Nehemiah 13 and 23. In those days, okay, also saw I Jews that had married the wives of Ashdod and Ammon and Moab, and their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. So what does this give you? A sign of cultural decay, meaning we became more associated with the ways that the heathen live, okay, than the way that we're supposed to live, meaning we weren't passing down our traditions. We stopped even raising our children up in the Hebrew. And what happened? Nehemiah contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them. He beat their ass and plucked off their hair and made them swear by God, saying, ye should not give your daughters unto their sons, neither take their daughters into your sons, yourselves. Did not King Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these? And what was the sin of Solomon? Okay, the sin of Solomon was that he fell to those idols. See, King David had concubines, but he didn't fall to their idols. Solomon's mind wasn't right in that sense as he got older. So we have these examples many times within our nation, all right, making covenant marriages with the heathen, linking yourselves to their idols and their culture. All right, this is what happened here with the sons of God. Let's read this in the NLT. Okay. It says, in those days and for some time after, okay, giant Nephilites, the fallen ones, the men of renown, the men of reputation, okay, the men that were expert in war, lived on the earth. For whensoever the sons of God had intercourse with the women, okay, and again, as we brought out in that lesson, every time you see sons of God, it's not associated with an angel. Now, in Job, the 2nd chapter, the sons of God presented themselves before Yahweh, or for a council in the heavens, and Satan came, which he's under the orders of the Most High. Okay, so you what you see is that you have the sons of God in heaven, but then sons of God on earth, as we showed you, is tied unto obedience. All right, all you have to do is just let's get one scripture, which we brought these points out yesterday, but I'm just reiterating a certain, because this is one of my favorite topics. Okay, this is man, Romans 8:14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. John 1:12. But as many as received him, received Yahushai, to them gave he power to become the sons of God. All right. Adam was called the son of God. Okay. Luke, the 3rd chapter. Okay. Solomon was the son of God. All right. Luke 3:38, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth. He's going through that same lineage, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. So, you know, and Solomon was called the son of God. Yahushai was known as the son of God for those who understood who he was. So just because you see son of God does not mean it's speaking of angels. Okay? It says the sons of God had intercourse with the women. They gave birth to children who became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. So the more important here is these descendants of the sons of God were mixed and mingled with the customs of the heathen. All right. And they became what? The warriors of their ancient time. And you have that very same thing happening here today. I don't give a damn how many of you want to say that you have to have a Israelite woman to have an Israelite child. All right. You know, which the original order is, yeah, you do, you know, marry with your own, all right, and customs and practices and covenant marriages and inheritance and all of that, all right, but there are concubines, and if you put a seed in that concubine, what goes into the seed is the seed of the father. What comes out of that would be an Israelite, you see, and as the scriptures say, seed after its kind, is still of a particular kind. You see? So what happened here is that the sons of God started to mix and mingle with the heathen, and they started to raise their children in ungodly customs. But they were still what? The heroes and famous warriors of ancient time. Now, going back to these scholars, okay? It says some became mighty men. All right, they were men that were old, men of name. All right, men of name. Now that's important, men of name, because, all right, let's look up this word Shem. Okay, because Shem through Noah continued. All right, this custom of righteousness. Okay, the word, not Noah, Shem. We're looking up Shem. The word Shem, Shum, okay, name, okay, but it's even deeper than that. Okay, let's go to the root word Shum, name, reputation, fame, glory, memorial, monument. Okay, ultimately, all right, the chosen ones, the ones who were of reputation. Okay, shawam, to appoint the ones who were appointed. All right, the ones who were supposed to be in that righteous stead fell away from their righteous way. Okay, we always bring this out in the book of Baruch. So it's very important to apply these things to this breakdown, because this is very important that you know the right breakdown of this. All right, Baruch 3:26 says, or 3:6, or 26, Salakia. It says, there were giants famous from the beginning that were so of great stature and so experts of war. All right. Those did not the Lord choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. All right. But it was through Noah, okay, who ultimately, as, Lamech, said, he would comfort us for the work we've laid down. So the righteous were able to be, continue that legacy. Okay. And through Noah, all the sons of God are able to be, brought back into the stead. Very important. See, it says, but they were destroyed because they had no wisdom and perished through their own foolishness. See, the sons of God, the giants, the famous ones, they were experts of war. They were mighty men. See, King David continued on that legacy. He was a mighty man. Abraham was a mighty man. All right, there was a point where Abraham trained up about 300 and something, or probably 800 men, all right, to go get Lot. All right, Abraham wasn't no low-level individual, just wiggling around the earth. No, he was a high-level warrior. We come from a line of absolute warriors and mighty men. Hercules, all of that stuff was stolen from the true sons of God. Okay, the X-Men and all of these cartoons, the Avengers and all of that really, is their left-hand versions of the sons of God, because they want the birthright back, so they create their own versions. Now, let's go back to the scholars real quick, these so-called scholars. Great physical force. So, and Jake probably was being tyrants. Okay? This is John Gill. Though there were giants in the earth in those days, that is, in the days before the sons of God took the daughters of men for wives in such a general manner as before declared, or before the declension and apostasy became so universal. See, apostasy is a key point. All right, for people who are into the Bible, this is what you, all right, should really be looking into, instead of some damn lizard people, like a crocodile man with a polo shirt on, like who's able to rule the world from some unknown location. Okay, no. Okay, Esau rules the world right now. That's a physical descendant of Abraham and Isaac. Okay, it says, even in the times of Jared, okay, which Jared is in the line of the sons of God, Arabic writers understand it, who say that the giants were begotten of the daughters of Cain by children of Seth, who went down from the mountain in the old days of Jared. See Genesis 5:20. The word Nephilim comes from a word which signifies to fall, and these might be called either because their fear to fall upon men, or because through men fear or to fall before them. All right, because their height and strength, or rather because they fell and rushed on men with great violence. So Jake became violent just like Esau too. You get that? Because Cain, in his lineage, when you read in the Josephus, you find out they're a bunch of degenerate. They were the same way Esau is, using the weaponry and killing and, coming after the sons of God, just doing evil, stealing, raping, robbing, murder, the same thing Esau does today. So Jake, All right, as you see now, that's what thug life is all about. Thug life is mimicking white culture, Edomite way, the wild wild west. You know, the cutthroat mentality that comes from Esau. That's not how we originally are. But Jake started to do this. Okay, Jake started to fall in his way, but the Lord always left particular men amongst that lineage to keep the traditions of righteousness going. That's what Enoch represented. Jude tells us Enoch prophesied of the downfall of niggas who rebel against the Lord. So at the time of Enoch, he was cursing out Jake just like we're doing now, calling on the name of the Lord. Okay? It says, and oppressed people in a cruel and tyrannical manner. They fell off, some say because they fell off they were apostates from the true religion, which is much better than to understand them as apostate angels. Boom. So these scholars get it. So why can't y'all get it? Okay? And we, the apostles and elders, broke this down, and then we went and read these scholars. They may have got the breakdown from us. Because these ain't things that have been associated with Christianity over these years. Christians ain't never broke down these chapters for us so that we can have understanding of what Genesis is, why it's important to us. So what was going on is idol worship. In the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 14th chapter goes into that. Okay? Wisdom of Solomon 14 in the GNT, I'll start at verse 6. It says, and this is how it was in ancient times, when a proud race of giants was dying away, the hope of the world escaped in such a boat under your guidance. All right, Noah, the boat, 8 souls saved, and left the world a new generation to carry on the human race. It says a blessing was on Noah's boat, all right, that allowed righteousness to survive, but a curse is on an idol made by human hands. See, idol worship is associated with what the proud race of giants was doing. Okay, and let's read it. Okay, let's go to verse 12. Sexual immorality began when idols were invented. They have corrupted human life ever since they were first made. Idols have not always existed, nor will they exist forever. It was human pride that brought them into the world, and that is why a quick end has been planned for them. See? So what happened here? All right, as you're putting the story together, the sons of God fell away to the idols of the heathen, and then comes sexual immorality. Then comes you falling away from your righteous way. Then you're a complete heathen. See, that's what happened here in Genesis, the 6th chapter. Okay, the family line of Noah, all right, became infested, all right, with the ways of the wicked. And that's why the Lord said in verse 6, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth. Man, it was man that went off. Men and women. Mankind is man and woman. There isn't a angel race. Okay? And that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only to continue evil was only evil continuous. So people were just being wicked. Okay, which that's what brought about the flood, the evil of the people. You see, and what happened here with this proud race, these giants, these mighty men. Okay, they left their first estate. Let's get the book of Jude, the 6th chapter, as this chapter is going into apostasy. What is this chapter? Warnings of the history of the ungodly amongst who? The Israelites, the chosen people. So when Jude brings this out in verse 6, as he just gives you an example of what happened in Egypt, you see how you had a rebellious bunch of Jake in that era of Egypt. He's reminding you, look, you remember these niggas, right? In Egypt. And to you people who got a problem with the N-word, just don't watch the video, man. Y'all expecting some, and it was in the beginning, God, y'all expecting these soft-spoken, look, hey, we're just regular men the Lord using, All right, but he put the spirit on us, man. Look, we're just like you. But at the end of the day, the Lord has put the spirit on us. Now, the word nigga just means black. So if you call yourself black, nigga, Niger, it just means black. So if I said black, would that be better? Goodness gracious. Well, my kids watch, but when Lil Wayne and Cardi B is on TV, that's cool. Look, man, let us teach, man. Let the Spirit work through us, man. Yeah, we'll work out because we're not perfect. We're in the flesh. We're subject to sin. We go off, but goddamn, stop using the N word. You nigga, you belong in the 90s. You out of date, man. Like Paul Mooney, it make my teeth whiter. But it's associated with so much. But you call yourself black. Shit, being a Christian is worse than being called a nigga. Anyway, Jude is putting the church in remembrance of the rebellions of Israel throughout the times. Then all of a sudden he just goes to what? The angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, had to reserved in chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Now people go here to say, see, well, it says angels which kept not the first estate. Well, first of all, let's look up the word angels. Okay, angels. A messenger. So an angel or a son of God is not always limited to an actual heavenly body. Envoy, one who is sent, an angel, a messenger from God. So you have angels sent from the heavens, but you have messengers on earth. All right. And to prove that, okay, let's get the book of, let's see here. What am I looking for? Messenger. Let's type in messenger, because it was speaking of John the Baptist. Right. Speaking of John the Baptist, right? Yahweh Shai's tribute to John. Yahweh Shai is giving John his props. Yahweh Shai spoke good of John the Baptist. But then you have a group saying John the Baptist fell out of the truth because he didn't follow Yahweh Shai. Well, his order, his course wasn't to follow Yahweh Shai. His course was to prepare the way for Yahweh Shai. All right, which is an ancient custom on preparing a way for kings to come, which the prophets fall under that stead. All right. But Yahweh Shai said this of John. Okay, let's get the red letter. In verse 10, it says, Matthew 11 and 10, for this is he of whom it is written, behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare the way before thee. Now, the word messenger here, ironically, is what? Angelos, angel. Okay, so John the Baptist was known as an angel or an angelos, okay? But it just means messenger, envoy, one who was sent. Okay? It says what? By implication, a pastor. Okay, so the sons of God were angels in a sense that they were those spirits sent to the earth in human flesh, right? But they were supposed to what? Continue the ways of righteousness, but they fell away. That's been a thorn in the side of the chosen race since the beginning, is falling to the idols and leaving off from the righteous way. Okay, we leaving our first estate, as it says in the book of Jude. All right, the angels which kept not their first estate. The first estate, arche, our beginning, our origin, which was to be in one with our power. Okay, person or thing that commences. Okay, first thing or a series, a leader. See, we were supposed to be the leaders. Okay, let's get Sirach, the 44th chapter. And that's who's going to lead the new world to come. under Yahweh Shai, Adam and the sons of God. Sirach 44:1. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begot us. The Lord have wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men of renown, Shem, all right, for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. Leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge, learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent in their instructions, such as found out musical tunes and recited verses and writings. The original poets, the original wise men are the sons of God. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations, okay, and were the glory of their times. All right, and let's get Sirach 49 real quick. Sirach 49:16. Shem, it says Shem and Seth were in great honor among men, and so was Adam above every living thing in creation. So, boom, through Adam, all right, through Seth, all right, through Shem, who had our faxad, all right, was those great men. It's tracking those great men by, all right, particular figures that are important that you should know about. So Genesis, the 6th chapter, is in no shape, form, or fashion speaking of a group of angels coming down to the heaven and having sex with men. Again, the angels that left their first estate are the envoys, the ones who were sent to the earth to uphold the ways of righteousness, start with Adam. Okay, they were to be the leaders, the origin, the extremity of a thing. Okay, first place of magistracy. Let's look this word up. Okay, angels, the Elohim. All right, yeah, but they came to earth. Magistrate, office of authority or of a magistrate. There you go, office of authority. So we left off from our first estate by falling to these idols. Okay, and that's why it says in Sirach or Second Esdras the 7, Second Esdras 7 and 48. O thou Adam, what hast thou done? For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we that come after thee. So, that second. See what that says in the GNT. And then we'll close it up. I just wanted to go over those points. Brothers brought some good points, and I just wanted to hit them. Second Esdras 7 and 48. The evil impulse within us has grown and has led us away from God's ways, brought us to ruin, and has put us on the way of death and destruction, and has taken us far from life. It has destroyed not only a few, but almost everyone who was ever created. Okay, the sin of Adam. Oh, Adam, what hast thou done? Okay. So you're not falling alone. Okay, you're not the man of, because he's the greatest of that, of that time, but he fell, which led to all of us falling. Okay, which is the narrative of that whole chapter in the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter. So hopefully you are edified. I think I've made all of the points I wanted to. Shalom.